Riva sat on the edge of her bed, staring out the small window. The stars above looked cold and distant. She had always wondered where she came from. All she knew was that she was found alone after the war, just a baby. The humans brought her to this colony, gave her a name and raised her at the care center. But they could never answer the question that lived deep inside her heart. Who were her parents? She was different from the other children. Her skin had a faint silver tone and her eyes glowed slightly in the dark. Her ears were small and pointed. Some kids teased her for it when she was younger, but now most just ignored her. Only one person ever made her feel truly safe: Jonas. Jonas was an older human. He used to be a soldier long ago, but now he worked at the care shelter, fixing things and helping the staff. He didn't speak much, but he always noticed when something was wrong. Riva trusted him more than anyone else. One evening, Riva returned to her room after helping in the kitchen. As she was putting away her apron, something fell from her locker. It was a small silver pendant shaped like a crescent with strange markings. She had never seen it before. She picked it up and turned it over in her hands. It felt warm, even, though the room was cold. The markings glowed faintly as if reacting to her touch. Her heart beat faster. Was it hers? Where did it come from? The next morning she brought the pendant to Jonas. He was in the workshop fixing an old drone. "Jonas," she said quietly, holding out the pendant. "Do you know what this is?" Jonas looked up. When his eyes landed on the pendant, he froze. His hand stopped moving. For a moment, Riva saw something strange in his eyes. Shock, maybe even fear. But then it disappeared. "No," he said slowly, shaking his head. "I don't recognize it. Maybe it's just something left behind in your locker." Riva didn't believe him. Jonas was a good man, but he wasn't telling the truth. She could feel it. Still, she didn't ask again. She simply nodded and left. That night, Riva couldn't sleep. She held the pendant close, staring at the markings. Her mind was full of questions. Why did Jonas lie? Where did this pendant come from? And why did it feel like it was meant for her? She placed it under her pillow and closed her eyes. As sleep took her, she dreamed for the first time in a long while. In her dream, a soft voice whispered her name. A tall woman with silver eyes smiled at her, reaching out with open arms. Behind her stood a man with the same glow in his gaze. They looked warm, familiar. She woke with tears on her cheeks. In another part of the shelter, Jonas sat alone in his small room. The door was locked, and an old box lay open on the table. Inside were pictures, notes, and a worn-out photo. In the photo, a pair of tall, elegant aliens held a baby in their arms. The baby had silver skin and glowing eyes. Jonas stared at the photo for a long time. "I thought you'd never find it," he whispered to himself. "But maybe it's time you knew." He reached for an old data chip hidden at the bottom of the box. It contained something he had kept secret for many years. Something he hoped Riva would never need to see. But now, the past was waking up, and Riva was no longer just a lost girl. She was a piece of a truth that had been buried long ago. The next morning, Riva woke up early. The pendant was still under her pillow, warm against her skin. She held it tightly, thinking about the dream she had. The woman's face in the dream felt so real, so familiar. Could it have been her mother? She got dressed and walked out to the garden behind the shelter. It was quiet there, a place she liked to go when her heart felt heavy. The pendant still glowed faintly in her hand. She looked at it again, wondering what the strange marks meant. They looked like letters, but not any human language she had seen. Later that day, Riva went to the small learning room. She searched through old books and data tablets, hoping to find something about the symbol. Most of the books were about Earth history or basic science. Nothing about alien writing, nothing about the war. She sighed and leaned back in her chair. Jonas was watching her from the hallway. He had the data chip in his pocket and the photo, hidden in his jacket. He had made a decision the night before. He would tell her. Maybe not everything, but at least enough to help her understand who she was. He walked into the room and sat across from her. "You're up early," he said gently. "I had a dream," Riva said, not looking at him. A woman spoke to me. She had my eyes. And she smiled. Jonas nodded slowly. Sometimes dreams come from our memories, even if they're old and hidden. Riva looked up. You know something, don't you? About the pendant. About me. Jonas didn't answer right away. Instead, he pulled the old photo from his jacket and placed it on the table. Riva leaned forward. Her heart skipped a beat. The baby in the photo had her skin, her eyes, and the two adults, elegant, tall, with silver blue skin and kind eyes, they looked just like the woman in her dream. Who are they? She whispered. They were your parents, Jonas said softly. They gave you to us during the war. They were part of a peace group trying to stop the fighting. I was part of the human side. I was just a soldier. But I was there the day they gave you to us. Riva stared at him, wide-eyed. They said they'd come back, he continued, but their ship was attacked. Everyone thought they were gone. I didn't tell anyone. I kept you safe. I thought that was what they would have wanted. Riva's hands trembled as she touched the photo. Why didn't you tell me? I was scared, Jonas admitted. Scared that if others knew who you really were, someone might try to use you or hurt you. So I said nothing. But now you found the pendant. You've started remembering. Maybe it's time you knew more. Riva sat quietly. Her mind was full of questions, but one feeling stood out the most. Hope. Maybe her parents hadn't just disappeared. Maybe there was more to the story. Do you think they're still alive? She asked. Jonas looked at her. I don't know, but there's something else. He reached into his pocket and placed the data chip next to the photo. This belonged to your mother, he said. She gave it to me. I've never opened it. I was waiting. Maybe for the right time. Maybe for you to be ready. Riva reached for the chip, her fingers brushing its surface. She could feel something inside her stir, like a memory waking up. She looked at Jonas and gave a small nod. I want to see what's on it, she said. All right, Jonas said. But let's do it together. As they walked toward the old workshop, Riva felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Purpose. She was no longer just an orphan. She was the daughter of people who had tried to bring peace, people who had trusted a human to protect her, and now maybe the time had come to uncover the truth they left behind. Jonas opened the old computer in the workshop. Dust covered the screen, but it still worked. He gently placed the data chip into the reader. Riva stood beside him, heart pounding. She clutched the pendant around her neck, feeling the warmth again. The screen flickered. For a moment there was nothing. Then a soft blue light filled the room. A figure appeared, tall, graceful, with silver blue skin and gentle eyes. Mother, Riva whispered. The woman in the recording smiled. Her voice was calm and full of love. If you are watching this, the message began, it means we were unable to return. My name is Ilari. I am your mother. Riva's eyes filled with tears. You were only a baby when the war reached our home. Your father and I were diplomats. We tried to stop the war between our people and the humans, but many did not want peace. The image flickered again. We trusted a brave human soldier named Jonas. We asked him to keep you safe. If this message survives, it means he did. Jonas looked down, his eyes wet. He had never watched this message before. Hearing her speak made the past feel real again. The recording continued. There is a place far from here, a hidden station in the mountains of Alara 9. If we are alive, that is where we would go. If not, then maybe you can go there and learn the truth. A pause. We love you, Riva. You were born in a time of fire and war, but you are our hope. Please live. Please remember us. The screen went dark. For a while, neither Riva nor Jonas spoke. She finally broke the silence. They tried to survive. Yes, Jonas said softly. And they wanted you to live. Riva wiped her eyes. We have to go to Alara 9. Jonas looked at her carefully. That's a long journey and it's not safe. Alara 9 is outside the protected colonies. It was closed after the war. No one goes there anymore. But what if they're there? She asked. Or someone who knows. What happened? Jonas hesitated. He had promised to protect her, but now he saw that protecting her also meant helping her find her past. We'll go, he said. But we'll need a plan. The next day, Jonas spoke with an old friend at the spaceport, a man named Keller, who worked with ships and cargo. I need a transport, Jonas told him quietly. Small, fast, and quiet. Keller raised an eyebrow. What for? A private trip. Just me and someone important. Keller looked at him for a moment, then nodded. I think I have something. Later, that evening, Riva stood near the edge of the landing bay watching ships come and go. She had never left the colony before. This would be her first time in space since she was a baby. Jonas joined her carrying a small bag. We leave in the morning. Riva nodded. Thank you. You don't need to thank me, he said. I made a promise long ago, and I'm finally keeping it. That night, Riva couldn't sleep. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, the pendant resting on her chest. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind. Please remember us. She would. No matter what they found on Alara 9, she would remember. And she would learn the truth. The next morning, the sky was still dark when Jonas and Riva arrived at the spaceport. The cold air carried the scent of fuel and metal. A small cargo ship waited in the far corner, hidden behind larger freighters. It was old but strong, with just enough room for 2 passengers. Keller greeted them at the loading ramp. She's not pretty, but she'll fly. I cleared the route. No one will ask questions. Jonas nodded. Thanks, Keller. I owe you. The man smiled. Just come back safe. They stepped aboard. Inside, the ship was simple. 2 seats in the front, a narrow sleeping bunk, and a small storage area. Jonas placed their bags near the wall. Riva sat in the co-pilot seat and looked around with wide eyes. It was her first time on a ship like this, and everything felt strange and exciting. Jonas powered up the engines. The controls responded with a low hum. Ready? Riva held the pendant in her hands. I'm ready. With a soft shake, the ship lifted off the ground and rose into the sky. The clouds gave way to stars and the planet shrank behind them. Riva stared out the window, speechless. The stars seemed closer now, as if calling her forward. They traveled for hours, passing through quiet sectors. Jonas kept the ship away from busy trade routes. Alara 9 was far, and not on any standard map anymore. The planet had been removed from travel charts after the war. Few dared to go near it. As the ship cruised silently, Riva thought about her mother's message. We would go to the station in the mountains of Alara 9. What would they find there? Were her parents alive? Or had someone else left a clue? After a long silence, Riva spoke. Jonas, do you think they really made it? Jonas didn't answer. Right away. I don't know. But I do know this. Your parents were brave. They believed in peace. That means they wouldn't give up easily. Riva looked at him. You believed in them too, didn't you? He smiled a little. They trusted me with you. That means something. I didn't understand it back then, but now I think I do. The ship's alert beeped. They were close. Jonas checked the screen. We're entering Alara 9's orbit. There's still power around the planet. Maybe old satellites or sensors. Will they stop us? Riva asked. Not likely, Jonas replied. But stay alert. As they approached the surface, the ship shook slightly. Storms rolled across the sky, and thick clouds covered the land below. Jonas guided the ship through, searching for the mountain range mentioned in the message. There, Riva pointed to a cluster of peaks. One of them had a dark shape built into the side, a station hidden by stone and snow. Jonas brought the ship down gently near the entrance. They stepped out into the cold wind, pulling on thick coats. Riva's eyes locked onto the structure. It looked old and damaged, but still standing. She could feel something calling her from inside. They reached the heavy door. Jonas pressed a few buttons on the control pad. Nothing happened. Then Riva stepped forward. She touched the panel while holding the pendant. A soft click echoed. The door slid open. Jonas stared. "How did you—" "It knew me," Riva whispered, like it was waiting. Inside, the station was dark, with only a few lights flickering. Dust covered the floors, but everything felt quiet, peaceful, like time had stopped. They moved through the halls. Old equipment, storage boxes, and broken monitors lined the walls. Then they found a room that looked like a command center. A large screen sat at the center of the wall. Riva stepped toward it. As she approached, the screen lit up. A voice filled the room. "Access granted. Welcome, Riva." Jonas's eyes widened. This place was built for them. For you. Riva stood still, her heart racing. Who built this? Why did it recognize her? And what secrets still waited inside? The command center was quiet. The lights were dim, but the screen glowed softly. Riva stood in front of it, feeling nervous but also curious. The voice had called her name. It knew her. That meant her parents had really been here. Jonas looked around the room. Old data pads were scattered on the table. Some were broken, others still flashing faint lights. The walls were lined with control panels and communication devices. It was clear. This station was once alive with activity. Now, it was like a ghost. Riva placed her hand on the main screen. It responded to her touch. Voice match confirmed, the computer said calmly. "Would you like to open your parents' message?" She looked at Jonas, who gave a small nod. "Yes," she said. The screen changed. A video began to play. It showed her mother and father sitting side by side in this very room. They looked tired, but hopeful. Her mother began to speak. "Riva, if this message finds you, then you are safe. That is all we ever wanted." Her father continued. "We came here after the attack. We thought this place was hidden, but we were followed." The screen shook slightly, like the memory had recorded a blast nearby. "We didn't have much time," her mother said. "We left clues, not just here but across the sector. If you found this station, you must keep going. Someone is hiding the truth about what happened during the war. Someone didn't want peace." Riva felt her heart race. She thought she would find her parents here, but they were gone. Again. The message ended with her mother's final words. "You were our light. Riva, don't be afraid of the path ahead." The screen went dark. For a while, Riva didn't speak. She just stood there, eyes on the screen, heart heavy. Jonas placed a hand on her shoulder. "I'm sorry, Riva." "They were here," she whispered. "So close. But I was too late." "No," Jonas said gently. "You were right on time. They left this for you. They trusted you to continue what they started." Riva nodded slowly. "They said someone was hiding the truth." "Yes," Jonas said. "And now it's our turn to find out who." They searched the room for more clues. Riva found a hidden drawer under the desk. Inside was a metal chip, different from the one they had before. It had a strange symbol on it, a triangle with a line through it. Jonas looked at it closely. "I've seen this before. It belonged to a secret group during the war. They didn't want peace. They wanted control." "Do you think they took my parents?" Riva asked. "It's possible," Jonas said. "They may not be gone, just hidden." Riva felt something new inside her, a quiet strength. She had spent her whole life thinking she was alone, thinking her past was lost. But now she had a piece of the puzzle, and she wasn't afraid anymore. As they prepared to leave the station, Riva looked back one last time. "Thank you," she whispered to the empty room. They stepped outside into the cold wind. The sky above was clear now, stars shining bright. The journey wasn't over. In fact, it was just beginning. Back aboard the ship, Jonas placed the new chip into the system. A map appeared on the screen, coordinates pointing to another hidden place. This one was deeper in space, in a system long forgotten. Riva looked at it with determination. "Let's go." Jonas smiled. "All right, kid. Let's find the truth." The ship lifted off quietly, leaving the mountain station behind. But Riva didn't feel sad. For the first time in her life, she felt like she was heading somewhere that mattered. The stars passed slowly outside the ship's window as it moved toward the unknown system. Riva sat quietly, holding the new metal chip tightly in her hand. The triangle symbol with a line through it was still glowing faintly. She kept looking at the screen showing the map. The destination was far, hidden in a part of space most people had forgotten. Jonas checked the ship's systems and looked back at her. "We should reach the location in a few hours," he said. "Are you okay?" Riva nodded. "Yes, I don't know what we'll find there." Jonas gave a soft smile. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together." They passed through a narrow corridor of space filled with old satellites and broken debris. This region was once part of a major battle zone. Most ships avoided it now. But Jonas flew carefully, guiding them around dangers with steady hands. Soon, they saw a dark shape ahead. It looked like a space station, but larger than any Riva had ever seen. It floated quietly among the stars with no lights and no movement. Yet the computer confirmed this was the place. Jonas slowed the ship and circled the station. It's still sealed, but there's power. Faint, but enough to dock. They connected the ship and entered through a side passage. The station's air was dry and thin, but still breathable. As they walked through the halls, the silence was heavy. Riva could hear the soft hum of machines deep below the floor. "This place is huge," she whispered. Jonas nodded. "It's not just a station. It's a data vault." They reached a chamber filled with glowing tubes and control panels. In the center was a tall black terminal. Riva walked forward and placed the chip into it. The system came to life. A new voice echoed across the room. "Welcome, Riva. Access granted." Files appeared on the screen. Names, images, videos. Riva and Jonas stood side by side, reading them in shock. These were secret records from the war. Meetings between leaders. Conversations between generals. Proof of plans made behind closed doors. Riva's hand shook as she read a document with her parents' names. It said they had spoken out against certain war groups on both the human and alien sides. They had found evidence of people who wanted the war to continue for profit and power. This is the truth," Riva whispered. Jonas read silently. "And someone wanted it buried forever." One video showed her parents giving a speech. They spoke of peace, unity, and hope, but the crowd shouted them down. Afterward, they were taken away, not by enemies, but by people from their own side. They were betrayed, Riva said with pain in her voice. Jonas placed a hand on her shoulder. "They tried to protect the truth, and now it's in your hands." Suddenly, the lights dimmed. A warning flashed on the screen. "Unauthorized scan detected." Jonas quickly checked the panel. "Someone is tracking us. We need to move, now." They copied the files onto a storage drive and rushed back to the ship. As they detached from the station, a dark ship appeared in the distance. It had no markings, but its shape was sharp and threatening. "They followed us," Jonas said. "Whoever wanted this hidden still doesn't want it known." The enemy ship began to chase them. Jonas took sharp turns, flying through debris and old wreckage to escape. Riva held on tightly, watching the files in her hand like they were gold. After a tense chase, Jonas finally lost the ship behind a large asteroid field. They went into hiding, powering down all signals. In the quiet darkness, Riva looked at him. "What do we do now?" Jonas took a deep breath. "We take this truth back. The world needs to hear it. Your parents didn't die for nothing." Riva nodded. "Then we fight with truth." And as the stars blinked around them, Riva no longer felt lost. She had a mission, a voice, and the strength to finish what her parents began. The return trip to the colony felt different. The stars no longer seemed cold and distant. Instead, they shone like guides leading Riva home, not just to a place, but to a purpose. She sat beside Jonas in the small ship, holding the storage drive tightly. Inside were the secrets her parents had fought to protect. When they landed, the colony was quiet. People went about their daily lives, unaware of the truth hidden for so long. Jonas helped Riva prepare for what was next. She would speak to the leaders, the humans and aliens who had grown tired of war and wanted peace. In the big hall where leaders met, Riva stood tall. The pendant hung around her neck, glowing softly. Her voice was clear and steady as she shared what she had found. "My parents believed in peace," she said. "They were betrayed by those who wanted war to continue, but their truth cannot be buried any longer." The room fell silent. Eyes watched her, some with surprise, others with hope. One elder alien, his skin marked with battle scars, spoke slowly. "If this truth is real, then we must listen." A human council member nodded. "We owe it to all who suffered to find the truth." Riva looked out at the crowd. She thought of the dream, her mother's face, her father's words. They had given her a mission, and now she would carry it forward. Over the following weeks, Riva worked with humans and aliens together. The files they had recovered were shared carefully, proving the war had been manipulated by a few who gained from pain and conflict. Many leaders were shocked, but many were also relieved. They wanted peace just as much as Riva's parents had. Jonas stayed by her side, proud and silent. He had protected her as a child, and now he watched as she grew into a strong woman, a bridge between two worlds. Riva often returned to the stars at night. She no longer felt alone. Her parents were gone, but their hope lived in her. She would make sure their dream of peace became reality. One evening, as the colony rested under the wide sky, a small ship arrived. It landed near the settlement with quiet grace. From it stepped a group, humans and aliens working side by side. Among them were faces Riva had never seen, but they carried a message. A woman stepped forward, her skin silver and eyes bright. She smiled warmly at Riva. "We have heard your call," she said, "and we are ready to help." Riva felt tears of joy. The past was no longer a chain, but a light guiding the future. Riva's journey had begun with a secret pendant, a hidden message, and a brave human who kept a promise. Now, it was ending with a new beginning, a future where humans and aliens stood together united. She looked up at the stars once more, whispering softly, "Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Father. I will not let you down." The stars seemed to shine back, brighter than ever.